Hi everybody, happy Sunday. If you are new here, my name is Katie and I have been on a journey this year to lose over 100 pounds, and I am also very interested in not only losing weight but improving my health and changing my whole lifestyle around to do that. This is the 50th week of the year, so this is going to be my 50-week update. I started my weight loss journey January 1st. Initially, I started on my own just with calorie reduction, and it was extremely difficult for me. I did lose some weight, but I wasn't going to be able to sustain it. So I added a GLP-1 in February. I started on ZEPBOUND in February, and that has been an amazing journey this far. So over the last 7 weeks, I met my initial weight loss goal, and I started this year at 273.2 pounds, and I hit my initial weight loss target. I wanted to get down to 170 pounds first. So I hit that target about 7 weeks ago. And at that point in time, I decided to change things up a little bit. I was starting to really feel very exhausted, very depleted, run down. My hair had started falling out a little bit. And I just really felt like even though I had more fat to lose and I had more weight that ideally I would lose to get into a healthy BMI category for my height, I'm 5'8". I wanted to lose a few more pounds, but I really wanted to take a different approach for these last few pounds that I'm working on. So I decided to switch to something called a body recomposition. And that is where you still do try to lose a little bit of fat, but you're also trying to add muscle at the same time, which you can do at any point in your journey, but a lot of times it becomes very frustrating. If you have a lot of weight to lose, adding in exercise is good, but sometimes it can slow the progress on the scale. I think sometimes your body is not as efficient at losing fat when it's also trying to build muscle. I think it works well for some people, but not for others. And in my personal history, my experience was anytime I tried to add an exercise regimen to weight loss, it seemed to stall me out. And I really am the kind of person that if I don't see regular progress on the scale, I am not a patient woman, and it really just derails my motivation completely when that happens. So for me, the best thing to do on my weight loss journey was just to simply focus on that. Just focus on the weight loss, the fat loss, getting down as much of that weight as I could in a most efficient and effective way possible. So I worked on that. But like I said, I got to the point, I had lost 103 pounds. I had gotten to my initial weight goal, and I just felt like it was time to switch it up a little bit. And I felt like I had the patience. I felt like I had the bandwidth. I felt like I didn't need to see that scale going down every week anymore. Now I could step back and say, okay, that's not as important to me anymore. Now I really want to focus on improving my body composition. So I'm sure everybody is pretty much aware these days that it's not all about just the number on the scale anymore. We really care a lot about the ratio of how our body is composed. So we want a certain amount of fat is healthy, but we also want muscle mass. That's going to be helpful, especially as we get older. And we also want skeletal mass, and we want hydration. And there's a lot of stuff that goes into making a healthy body that's sort of separate in some ways from just that number on the scale. So I bought myself one of those Hume body pod scales I've been seeing all over social media. I spent the money and I bought one, and I've actually been pretty happy with it. I have not yet compared the results to an actual DEXA scan, which I would like to do at some point just to see if their claims about accuracy are in fact correct. They say that they're very accurate compared to a DEXA, but we are going to find out eventually. Right now, I'm using it more as a guide to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction, not as absolute fact. And I think that as long as you can look at the data and you use the scale the same way and at the same time of day and maybe the same day of the week, to track your progress, I think that it should be fairly accurate, at least in terms of the progress that you're making. And so I've been using it consistently now for 7 weeks to help track this body recomposition that I am doing. So let me go over those results real quick. So last week I weighed in at 163.8. This week, 162.5. So I'm down another 1.3 pounds. So that is actually a total loss for the year of 110.7 pounds, which is great. I'm really, really thrilled with that. Like I said, I don't really, at this point in time, I don't actually know what my goal weight will be on the scale. I'm looking more at a body fat percentage. So when I started this recomposition process, the scale told me that I had 39.2% body fat overall. And I think I'm really looking to get down more towards like 25%, maybe lower, maybe not. I mean, as a woman in her 40s, those things might be slightly different. I think if you're younger, you want to hit closer to maybe 20% as a woman. But as you get older, I'm not so sure that you want to be that low, but we'll see. I mean, we're just going to see what's going on. But my goal for now is about 25% body fat. My lean mass apparently is adequate according to what the Hume Body Pod scale says. So that's good news that I don't have low muscle mass after having lost over 100 pounds without really doing any weight training or anything like that. So that's a good sign. My hair's a little crazy. That's a good sign that, I mean, I might have lost muscle mass, but at least I was going into it with enough that if I lost muscle, I'm still in an okay category. I'm not low. I don't have sarcopenia. I don't have any of that. So, but building it up is still the goal as well. So my lean my lean mass went from 97.4 pounds up to 106.8 pounds over the past 7 weeks. So these numbers are trending in the right direction. Again, accuracy is questionable, but I just like to see that we're going in the right direction. And it's really cool to see that that is possible to do while increasing and stepping up on your calories. And the weight training that I'm doing is not hardcore. In the past, when I did an exercise program, I would go hardcore. I would do those programs that were like 6 days a week, 45 minutes to an hour, grueling sessions. You were exhausted afterwards and dripping with sweat. And I think that there is something to be said for that kind of a stress on the body can sometimes be good. But I think that what I'm seeing now at this age anyway, is that it's not necessary to go that crazy and to still see gains. I mean, I'm still seeing muscle mass improvements. I'm still seeing body fat reduction. So, I find this really, really encouraging, especially, I guess, if you're a beginner exerciser. Maybe this doesn't apply to you if you're like a hardcore exerciser already. But if you're kind of new to it and you're beginning, I am doing like 2 strength training sessions a week and some walks throughout the week. Definitely not hitting 10,000 steps a day or anything like that. So, those are things that might be good goals to work up to. And I'm not opposed to certainly walking more or possibly doing more weight training sessions or strength training sessions. But it's really encouraging to me. And I hope that it would be encouraging to you to know that you can actually get progress and improve your body composition without going absolutely nuts about it. So I had a question in my comments after my last video, I think it was, or maybe one of the other videos. Why am I doing a reverse diet? Why not just, once I'm done with my weight loss, why not just go to one of those calculators and find out what my total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE, is, and then, either eat at maintenance or, calculate a calorie deficit from there. So just for anyone who's never looked it up before, your total daily energy expenditure, or TDEE, I believe it's comprised of both your basal metabolic rate, which is just the amount of calories that your body burns if you do literally nothing. Like, you could just be lying in bed existing, I think, and that's how much your body burns just to stay alive. Then you have something called non-exercise activity thermogenesis, and I believe that's anything other than exercise. So like if you are or like structured exercise. So like if you are walking from your car into your office, that's activity. That's not exercise per se, but it counts towards your calorie burning. I think it even encompasses things like eating and digesting your food burns calories, but I'm not sure if that counts in basal metabolic rate or in NEAT. I'm not sure, but it's in there somewhere. So it's anything other than activity that you might do. Fidgeting, going to get your groceries and carry the groceries in, walking your dog, which I guess you could count as exercise. But if you're not tracking that kind of thing, then that's just non-exercise activity. And then you have activity that you might do. So that might be a structured exercise program or a planned walking that you do to add into your days. And so that kind of accounts for your total energy that you would expend in a day, and then that can help you determine how many calories to eat. The limitation of that for those of us who have lost a significant amount of weight with or without a GLP-1 is that there is an adaptation to losing weight. First of all, your body is going to lose weight no matter what. When you get smaller, you have less cells in your body and you require less energy, and so your metabolism does go down. With weight loss, they have found in numerous studies in the past that your body can actually overcompensate for that. So it will actually lower your metabolism even more than would be expected just for your weight loss alone. And that's like the famous Biggest Loser follow-up. They had a big story on that relatively recently about how, they tested their metabolic rate after being on that program and found out that it was like 500 or even more calories lower than they expected it to be, just based on the weight loss alone, which is one of those things that makes it harder to maintain weight loss to begin with, because not only have you lowered your metabolism just because you're smaller, you've also lowered it even more because you did it through dieting. So now you have a much lower metabolic rate than what you expect. And the thing is that I don't think that the calculators online can take that into effect accurately. So suppose you just, put your calorie level in there and it gives you an estimate and you say, okay, that's either my maintenance or I'm going to go for a little bit of a deficit on that. It may or may not be accurate. So one advantage of doing a reverse diet is because you can kind of find out for yourself exactly where yours is. It is not based on an estimate. So, suppose you were or have been eating, 12 or 1300 calories a day or something like that for your weight loss. And now you're kind of either ready to slow it down, you want to maintain, or you want to do a body recomp like I'm doing. You can slowly start adding calories back in. And the advantage of doing it is at least twofold. Maybe there's more. One is, it's not a shock to your body. I think sometimes, if you go from eating a certain amount of calories and then suddenly, you can do it for like one day here and there, and I don't think that affects anything. But if you start like going from 1300 calories a day to 2000 calories a day overnight, your body is going to be like, whoa, awesome. We needed this. We've been starving for this whole time. Let's go ahead and like hoard all these calories. I think your body doesn't read that as, okay, the diet's over, the famine is over. Well, it does. It says the famine is over. Now let's weight restore. Let's take all these calories back because we weren't happy being at this lower weight. We want to be heavier. So it's going to try to store all those calories. Whereas if you are slowly reverse dieting and adding calories back in, little bit, your body is like, okay, well, this is good, but we're not, I don't know. Like, I don't know if the famine is over yet. And I don't think that it overreacts in the same way. And I think that it will slowly start bumping up your metabolism again as you're doing it, so that you can eat more calories without having that reaction from your body like, okay, now it's time to store all these calories. And then the second advantage would be that you can find your ceiling. If you keep adding maybe 100 calories. So last week you were at 1200 calories. This week you're going to eat 1300 calories a day. Next week you can try 1400, 1500 the following week. And you can get all the way up to the point where you actually start gaining weight. Or you can get to the point where you start gaining weight and then you can kind of back it down a little bit until you're not gaining weight anymore. And then you can say, okay, whatever that is, that's my current maintenance level. And, then you know what your maintenance level is, at least now. Now you might be able to affect that and improve that in the future by adding in more exercise, building muscle, and that kind of thing. But you'll know for sure it's not just based on estimates, it's not just based on averages, it's actually based on your own body. Rather than just sort of like a calculator online that's going to be taking averages of human beings, you're going to know for sure where your maintenance calories are. Me personally, as I've said, I'm doing the reverse diet because I do still have weight to lose anyway. So it's not as though I wanted to hit the brakes entirely and just stop losing weight. I do still have too much body fat mass and a high body fat percentage. So this kind of kills two birds with one stone. So I can kind of start to pump the brakes on the weight loss so that it's not as much as what I had been having before. But we're going to sort of slow it down and kind of go on a more slower pace until I get to the point where I'm happy, rather than I didn't want to just lose any more weight. I was losing really well. I was losing 3+ pounds per week on 10 milligrams, and that was fantastic. But like I said, I just wasn't feeling very good anymore, and I'm going to listen to my body when it tells me that. So rather than just kind of fighting through with that and just pushing myself too far, I decided to be more gentle about it. So a reverse diet does two things for me, and that is, again, allowing me to continue to lose some fat while I'm starting to add more calories back in, more nutrition, and then it will allow me in the end to figure out where my maintenance calories are without shocking my body. I'll be able to slowly build up my metabolic rate over time without as much risk of overdoing it and going into a surplus and then starting to gain weight, which we don't want to do. So that is why I am doing a reverse diet, and I do recommend it as well. I think it used to be very difficult to do that. I had done it before when I lost weight without a GLP-1 several years ago, and it was very difficult to do because my body was like, I'm hungry, I want to eat, I want to gain this weight back. What are you doing? And it was like white knuckling it. It was very difficult to do it. I did it, but this way is much easier, much more gentle, because I've got the GLP-1 on my side. I have that help, that tool in my toolbox, and it really makes it so that it's like, oh, well, I can eat whatever I want. I play around with my dose and I figure out where I want to be so that I have some appetite suppression, but not as much, and so I can control how much I'm eating without white knuckling it, without feeling like I'm really suffering or struggling or whatever. So that's why I am doing a reverse diet, and I definitely recommend it for anyone. You could also potentially use this during your weight loss journey. Sometimes I have seen in other people that they hit a point of weight loss resistance because they have been in a calorie deficit for too long, and their body, I think it becomes a stress reaction when you are in a calorie deficit for a long time, for some people anyway. And sometimes what can help you, it requires a lot of patience, but something that could potentially help you would be to say, okay, I'm going to take away the weight loss goal for a minute, and I am going to go ahead and do a reverse diet. I'm going to get up to maintenance calories. I'm going to stay there for a little while. I'm going to show my body that everything is safe and we're not in a famine and everything is okay, and it can start to relax on the stress hormones and stuff like that. And then you can kind of decide at a certain point in time, okay, let's try cutting back down to a calorie deficit, and it might kind of shock your system into weight loss again, at least for a while. So that's one thing that I have heard people have done if they are on a really long stall, is sometimes do a little bit of a reverse diet in the middle, and that might start, jump starting the weight loss again. So for anybody well, no, let me move on. So I had gotten all the way up to 10 milligrams on ZEPBOUND, and I worked my way down. I'm currently on 5 milligrams. I do feel like it's a pretty good sweet spot for me. It seems like I'm able to keep my calories still in a little bit of a deficit. Some of the days I'm like 1,500 calories. One day last week, I think I was at 2,000 calories. I just had a hungry day, but you know, still balancing out so that I am in mostly a calorie deficit overall. And again, it seems to be working pretty well. I'm still moving in the right direction, fat loss wise and muscle building wise. So for anybody who's new here, I will say that I had been doing carnivore. I had been doing it specifically because I think I have lipedema, and I had heard that some people were having success managing that condition with a carnivore diet. For anybody who's not familiar with why carnivores eat carnivore to begin with, the short version is that plants have, not only do they have wonderful things like vitamins and minerals and fiber, if that's important to you, they have those things, but they also have compounds that are self-defense mechanisms. So they don't want to be eaten any more than an animal wants to be eaten. Well, the animal can run away, a plant can't run away. So they have different toxic compounds in them. And there is some discussion nowadays as to whether, what's the balance on that? Are the vitamins and minerals that you're getting beneficial enough to outweigh the toxins that are in the plant material? And so, and those toxic compounds might fuel inflammation. And so I was curious about it. And so I've been doing a little carnivore experiment since April, and I cannot say that it made any difference in terms of my lipedema. And I'm not going to go into what that is. You can look it up if you want. I don't think it has made any difference in that to speak of, but but theoretically I can understand what they're saying in terms of the defense chemicals and stuff like that. So anyway, so I have started to do an experiment now where I'm actually adding things back into my life that would typically not be acceptable on a carnivore diet. So I've done some vegetables because they're in season locally here in Florida. And so I've tried a few different vegetables with mixed results. I would say that the zucchini did not go over well. That gave me digestive issues. The next thing that I tried was sweet potato. I did not go over very well digestive wise either. I have done a test with tomatoes that was last week, and that actually seemed okay. I wasn't sure at first. I thought I might be having some digestive issues afterwards, but towards the end of the week, I really think I was fine. So I'm not sure about tomatoes. They seem okay. This week I am trying carrots because I got those at my farm stand as well. And so far I think it's okay, but I will say, I don't know that I really missed carrots all that much. I like carrots. Carrots are fine, but I don't think that I missed them all that much. And so I'm not sure that it would be something that I would necessarily add back into my diet, but I wanted to test them out. And next week, actually, I think I want to switch gears and I want to try something with a fruit instead of just a vegetable. So I've also, as a carnivore, been 0 carbs. So that's another sort of element to this that I'm testing as well, how my blood sugar responds to vegetables with carbohydrates. And it's not an issue. I don't have diabetes or pre-diabetes or anything like that. My A1C has always been fine. So, I'm not coming at it from that standpoint, but you just never know how food is going to affect you. And even those of us without diabetes, our blood sugar can react to foods that we eat as well. So I had been keeping it. I had started out with a low carb veg, then we went sweet potatoes, which has more carbs, but my blood sugar response to those all seems to have been fine. So that's good. I'm happy about that. But now I think if I add a fruit, that's obviously going to have a lot more sugar in it, natural sugar, of course. But I will just be curious to see whether that has any influence on my blood sugar in an abnormal way. Obviously, if you're going to eat an orange, you're going to see a blood sugar rise and a fall, and that's normal metabolism, and that's fine. But I would just be looking to see if there's any kind of like very large surge or spike, or if it stays elevated for a long period of time afterwards. Those are things that you don't want. So So that's why I am doing testing with fruits and vegetables rather than just eating them. The jury is out, to be honest with you, if I am going to incorporate fruits and vegetables in my life on a regular basis. I can't say that it's been positive over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks of adding in things. It's variety, and I do miss the variety of fruits and vegetables, but as far as how I feel, I cannot say that I feel better having them in versus having them out. I have not decided that I feel better eating fruits and vegetables so far. There are a few more that I am definitely going to test, even though I don't think that they're available they're not seasonal particularly or locally available, but I am curious about berries, so I probably will add those in. I do miss avocados, and so I will probably test those out as well. And maybe some lettuces and stuff like that. So there's some more things that I do want to test out over the coming weeks, but I think oranges are in season locally, and so I'm gonna maybe do oranges next week over Christmas. Yeah, because this week is the week before Christmas, and then the following week will be Christmas, and so that'll be, I guess, a little treat for me. I can eat an orange over Christmas. So that is my update on my body recomposition and my plans moving forward. I'm going to stay on 5 milligrams for now, and my plans for Christmas are I have been indulging in cheese, and I will continue to do that. That seems to have been fine now. I have now tried several different varieties of cheese, and I don't think that that's causing me any kind of an issue at all. And I do enjoy the flavor and the variety that gives me in terms of, adding to meals, having something else to eat rather than just the meat. So I have been enjoying that, and we will continue to do that. So that's our typical Christmas Eve dinner. I don't think I'm going to have the baguette that we usually would have with it, but I think I will enjoy some meats and some cheeses and be able to happily participate in our Christmas Eve celebration that way. We're going to have prime rib for Christmas dinner, which fits perfectly in my plan anyway, and so I look forward to that. It's going to be busy, you guys. It's going to be busy these next couple of weeks. I am going to be doing a live this week. I am going to set that up for Tuesday. Depending on your time zone, it's Eastern Standard Time here, and I'm going to probably be doing that around 7 p.m. my time, so hopefully people on the West Coast will be able to participate. I will try to stay long enough so that you guys can get home from work if you were working and come in and see me over here. So I will be announcing that tomorrow. I'll be posting that, and I hope to see you guys there. If you have any questions for me, drop them down below, or if you have anything that you want me to specifically address while I do the live so that I can be prepared for that, any questions that you have been, or you can just participate. If you know you're not going to be able to be here on Tuesday evening, then leave me your question here. I will answer it during the live, and then you can just go back and watch it when you are able to. All right, I hope you guys have a fabulous Sunday, and I will talk to you on Tuesday. And if I don't see you there on Tuesday, I will talk to you next weekend. Bye.